Now that the NBA season is well underway, I've been watching a lot of basketball recently. I used to watch a lot when I was a kid, then I stopped for a while, and then now I'm back into it. So I thought, why not combine my two hobbies of yapping about anime and getting mad at the Raptors for losing close games? The Raptors should try to get into play-in instead of tanking, alright? This young team needs to learn how to win. We already have a lot of pieces, so the goal is trying to figure out how to win, in my opinion. Yeah, that last play-in spot is ours, alright? Not the Hornets. Fuck the Hornets. It also makes sense to combine anime with basketball because there's a big crossover between the NBA fan base and Dragon Ball for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. However, we're not talking about Dragon Ball today. We're talking about Kuroko. And Kuroko is actually pretty good. I really like this show. It's pretty hype. The characters are cool. The animation is really good. Yeah, it's pretty much perfect for me as a basketball fan and an anime fan. While I was watching this show, I thought, which characters are the most similar to real-life NBA players? So I made this. As you can see, not every character is getting an NBA comparison. First of all, not every character has enough depth that it would be easy to make a comparison. And secondly, if that was the case, it would take forever to make this video. Also, if you end up enjoying the video, subscribe to the channel and like the video. I saw that last time I said that the buttons didn't glow, and I hope they glow this time. Alright, let's get on to this comparison sheet. Alright, you see the smoke there. Oh god, Drake. Oh no, Drake. Oh no, Drake! Pretend they're emerging from the smoke like how they are in this video, alright? That's why the smoke is there. Coming in, number 30, the greatest shooter of all time, 4-time NBA champion, 2-time MVP, Steph Curry for Shintarou, his comparison. This is the obvious one. Both of these guys are excellent shooters. But that's what plebs say, because his actual comparison that I'm putting here is Jerry West. I do have a Steph Curry comparison later. Jerry West didn't play in the three-point era, but he was still a good shooter for his time. I also think their personalities fit a lot better with each other. Both were kind of loner types. Shintarou's pretty cold to his teammates and other people.
Years of college, Jerry was always alone with his thoughts.
Yeah, Jerry West was also a loner, so I thought the personalities would fit a lot better. And they're both perfectionists in their own way. Shintarou always needed his lucky item for the day so that he could shoot well. He also had bandages on his shooting hand so that his fingers are in perfect position for him to play so he could shoot accurately.
I'm surprised when the ball doesn't go into the hoop. I think I should make every shot, but
it's kind of similar in the way Jerry West had a strong desire to make his game perfect. He wants every shot to go in. He wants to win every game. So it's perfection in two different ways. It's one where Shintarou wants to have the perfect condition when he plays, while Jerry West wanted to play perfectly every time. So I thought that was really interesting. Also, rip Jerry West. I was really shocked when I heard when he died. Yeah, I was really shocked because in good shape when he was on Podcast P. He's an ambassador of the game. After his playing career, he was a coach, he was a general manager. He's been a big part of basketball history outside of his playing days, and he's a very important figure, so rip Jerry West. He was a real one. Alright, so Hyuga's comparison, this time it's not bait, it's actually Steph Curry. And honestly makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Steph Curry's known as a shooter. Hyuga's also a three-point specialist. Hyuga's known as a clutch player. Steph won Clutch Player of the Year last year. Yeah, Hyuga's pretty good at making clutch shots as well, right? Good shooter. Both are great players who are loyal to their guys, right? Who both try their best to fucking win the game. Steph Curry's a fucking 4-time champion, alright? Steph gave up being the #1 option on a great team to get Kevin Durant so that Kevin Durant can shine as the #1 option and win even more than they would have otherwise without Kevin Durant. Curry was willing to make the sacrifice of being, I guess, the biggest star on his team to win championships, right? He's also talked about, like, the brotherhood he's had with Draymond and Klay Thompson, right? Hyuga also really cares about his teammates, supports them, and wants to win at all costs, right? With Kuroko, Since Kuroko is mostly a passer, it makes sense that his NBA comparison would be a traditional point guard like Rajon Rondo, Jason Kidd, John Stockton, Steve Nash, especially Rondo and young Jason Kidd, because Kuroko isn't a very good shooter, so that's a good comparison. I can imagine Kuroko having some really funny stat lines of like 12 assists, like 2 rebounds a game or something. Like a fucking Warriors Chris Paul stat line, you know? Traditional point guards are more so on-ball creators. They're the guys who dribble the ball up the court and, set up the plays. But Kuroko doesn't really do that. Kuroko is more of a connective passer, which isn't really a traditional point guard's game. So that's why I don't think these guys are the correct comparison. I think the correct comparison is Larry Bird. Larry Bird's the guy that I think of the most when I think of connective passes like that, which is more of Kuroko's game, right? As soon as he gets the ball, he touches off to someone else to, misdirect the enemy player. Yeah, which is what Kuroko does, right? Also, Kuroko is an unassuming guy. The joke about Larry Bird is that he's an unassuming white guy. You look at him and you don't think, oh, this guy would be good at basketball, right? But, he's one of the greatest of all time. Also, Larry Bird was a great mid-range shooter. Also, Kuroko's only scoring skill is kind of shooting a little bit, so it kind of makes sense there. Also, I think they're probably both underrated defenders. Since people don't notice Kuroko on the court, I can imagine he can get close to people and pickpocket the ball out of their hands and get a few steals a game. And Larry Bird was a really good defender, right? I think he's pretty underrated. Maybe it's because he's so unathletic. The guy averaged 1.7 steals for his entire career, right? Which is above average. He had that famous steal on that inbound pass to win that playoff game. Though the only thing about both of these guys is that Kuroko is like a super nice guy and Larry Bird was a massive shit talker. So that's the only thing that doesn't really compare. Next we got Kagami's comparison. It is Clippers Blake Griffin specifically. Blake Griffin was an electrifying dunker. Kagami is also a very good dunker, very electrifying. He has great chemistry with Kuroko, getting lobs from Kuroko, like how Blake Griffin had great chemistry with Chris Paul. As you can see, both are gingers. Honestly, there's not much to Kagami's game outside of like dunking and shit. Maybe a little bit of ball handling? He has to have good footwork and strength to get past his opponents, right? Yeah, Blake had that like goofy fucking between the legs thing, but if it works, it works. Blake Griffin had great transformation. He became a good shooter, a great passer in his days in Detroit. So it was really cool seeing him develop after, his knees gave out. Shout outs to him for retiring, all right? He had a good career. Now we have Aomine's comparison, which is Michael Jordan. Aomine was an absurd scorer. It took him 0 effort to fucking get past his opponent. He basically scored so much that the enemies didn't have a fucking chance. As you know, Jordan is arguably the greatest of all time, the fucking best scorer of all time. No matter how contested his shot, he'll make it, right? The guy at his peak had a field goal percentage over 53%, which is pretty high for a guy who mostly took mid-range shots, which is the most inefficient shot in basketball. So he could fucking shoot the most absurd, like, contested mid-range shots and still get it in, right? Like Aomine, who's this unguardable monster, right? Also, he's black, so that helps. Both guys quit the game because they were literally too good. Aomine stopped playing the game because he was so bored because he fucked up every team he played against, so there was no challenge for him, so it was really boring. Michael Jordan quit the game after his first three-peat because he basically did everything in the game. He won championships, he won MVPs. I think he won the Depoy at this point. So he's basically done everything, right? He proved himself more than anyone could ever ask of him. And plus his father died at this point, so that sort of killed his motivation for basketball. Like how Aomine stopped giving a fuck, right? Both were pretty sick dunkers as well. Jordan famously won the fucking dunk contest. Also, both could be like dicks to their teammates. Aomine constantly lets his teammates down by not going to games. Yeah, Michael Jordan infamously punched Steve Kerr in the face. Obviously not like that, but yeah. He infamously shattered Kwame Brown's confidence by shit talking him so fucking much instead of being an encouraging mentor, I guess. As you can see, I ran out of room in my fucking graphic here. Teppei's comparison is Jokic, which makes sense because they're both most passing big men, right? Teppei's a fierce rebounder like Jokic. Yeah, Jokic consistently is one of the top rebounders in the league. Both are great passers as big men. Kiyoshi is a great passer, like Jokic. Yeah, it's a good comparison since Jokic is one of the greatest passing big men of all time. It makes sense that both are great passers because both played point guard when they were younger, right? Jokic played point guard as a kid. That's how he became a good passer as well. So both have the skills. It's also really interesting that there was a passing center in Kuroko because this shit came out well before point centers were even a thing, though Jokic is the only really good one. Yeah, this manga originally came out in 2008. I'm sure the chapters with Teppei were well before Jokic was even on the map for most people. Jokic only really started emerging around like 2014, 2015, so Kuroko was kind of ahead of its time, showing how good a passing big man can be, right? Teppei also seems like a really chill, down-to-earth guy like Jokic. The meme is that Jokic just loves being with his horses. He's more passionate about just chilling and being a stable owner rather than being a basketball player. Just both really like down-to-earth guys who just want to chill and have fun, but are also very, very good at basketball. As you can see, I couldn't fit everything in the bracket, so I have a couple more things. Seiren was known for their fast-paced, passing, heavy offense, which is a lot like the 2014 Spurs, right? With all their ball movement, which resulted in a very hard to guard and very efficient offense, right? Playing the game the right way, being unselfish with the ball, which is a philosophy Seiren plays with. Seiren isn't a noticeably great defense, unlike the 2014 Spurs, but I think it's still a good comparison. Kurasaki Daichi is like the bad boy Pistons, who are known for their brutally physical defense. Like the bad boy Pistons who fucking beat the fuck out of the opponents, causing a lot of technical fouls. Their leader is literally nicknamed Bad Boy, alright? It couldn't be more obvious of a comparison with how they deliberately tried to injure players and generally played very physically, which caused a lot of players to be very pissed off. A lot of these fouls probably would be flagrant at this point, not in the 80s, I guess. Anyway, yeah, that's it. There were some players that didn't have really strong comparisons. Like, sure, Akashi had a great crossover, but like, he's not really like Iverson or Kyrie Irving, you know what I mean? You really think those characters fit the fucking evil mastermind personality this guy has? No. Yosin is known as an excellent defensive team, but they don't really have that power of friendship or like the underdog aura that the 2004 Pistons had. Like, the Pistons were such underdogs against the Kobe and Shaq Lakers. Yosin was the overdogs because of their stifling defense. Anyway, that's all the comparisons I had. I'm sure if you looked deeper than I did, maybe you could make some better comparisons, or ones that I didn't even make. Comment some good comparisons if you had them. I also wanted to make a quick shout out. Rip Dikembe Mutombo. He died pretty recently, like a month ago or something. One of the greatest defensive players of all time. A big ambassador for African basketball. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. Famous for his finger wag after blocks. In honor of his passing, this image will be my censor bar for the rest of time. Legendary player. Rip Dikembe, you're bigger than basketball. You're also a meme. Next video will probably be a seasonal anime video, so look out for that. I'll make a post and I'll see if anyone comments on that so I can talk about the shows people are actually watching. Like and subscribe so I can see that button glow and also grow my channel. Alright, thank you, goodbye.